This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Leaving out the avocado in your salad to save money is not good for morale or your fiber intake. Luckily, State Farm knows the value of the little things. It's why they've got options like insuring your home and ride with surprisingly great rates on both. Because you shouldn't have to give up what you love for great insurance. For surprisingly great rates, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alsner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We're going to talk TJ Oshie's injury. We're going to talk the season preview and get some predictions from both of us and kind of where we see the first month of the season going. Karl, first, Andy McNeil, our guest last week, messaged me. He put a $400 bet on the Capitals to win the Metropolitan Division, $100 on Darcy Vezina. So those are his bets. I'm not going to go that rich on it, but I did, in our kind of what to know in the season, pick Darcy Kuemper as the Vezina Trophy winner.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, that's how you win big, right? You go with some things that maybe not everybody else is thinking. So it'd be interesting to see. It's if you have a good team defensively in front of you, then it gives your goalie a pretty darn good chance to win that. But that's an aggressive bet. I'm not going to be putting any bets because last time I told someone to make a bet, they weren't too happy about it because it was terrible.
What was the bet you recommended?
It was the Caps in 5. I think against the Panthers was the last bet, and then it was again Caps in 6. So it was just not a good bet.
When I keep looking back at last season and that series, and like the Panthers canning Andrew Burnett and trading Huberdeau and all these things, it's like the Panthers played like garbage in that series. The Capitals should have won that series.
Yeah, well, 100% they should have won. Florida didn't win that series. The Caps lost that series. That's the best way to put it. But speaking of Huberdeau, just a second, I saw the quote from
Daryl Sutter.
Sutter. Yeah, unreal.
So for those who haven't heard this, it's like basically like he's the best passer I've ever seen, like ever.
Yeah. And he's saying that, specifically because they had what was known as one of the best passers in Johnny Gaudreau. So that's a pretty interesting statement, and not surprised at all that came from his mouth.
There's no vitriol at all. I actually wish that Columbus and Calgary played more often because it'd be really fun.
Oh, it would be unbelievable. Yeah, I could see Sutter just saying, everybody, let's go after this guy and really make his life hell, because that's the way that the old school guys are. So it's pretty interesting.
The most pressing issue for the Capitals in the preseason game against Detroit, TJ Oshie leaves with an upper body injury. Peter Laviolette said, "Look, this wasn't precautionary. He wasn't coming back. He's going to get reevaluated." Just we both know TJ very well. Just your level of concern given kind of the injuries he's had in his career.
Yeah, my concern is just for him and his what he wants to do with the rest of his career. Like, I know how badly every player wants to get to 1,000 games, and I know that's on his mind. I mean, as it should be. He's getting so close, but man, he's just had such terrible luck with these things. It's just one thing after the other that comes up, and they're not. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like they're necessarily linked. They're kind of. Yeah, it's all over the body. Something happens, and unfortunately, some guys are like that. But the guy is so strong-willed that he always finds a way to come back, and he has a great training program that allows him to recover pretty darn quick from these injuries as well. So that's something that's working for him. But man, in exhibition too, it's like the last thing that you want is to get injured in that time. And the same thing with the fans and the team. It's good for the prospects and the other guys that are coming in, because they have an opportunity to show something. But shoot, this is one of the last things the team needed.
I just said this on radio earlier. It's like, for an aging team to get through training camp preseason, you just want to get through uninjured. Like, we already know Nick's out and Tom's out. The last thing this team needed was a skilled player going out of the lineup.
Yeah, no kidding. And so many guys, their lower body breaks down in training camp, right? It's a lot of skating. Yep. It's the first time they've been grinding that hard, and then you start getting yourself into positions on the ice that you're not used to in the summer, protecting the puck and then getting hit, right? Everybody turns away in the summertime and a lot of training camp as well, because they don't want to hit any of the veteran guys or do anything that's going to get them in trouble. So, all of a sudden you get put into positions where you're going to get hit and you're not maybe as ready as you would be in the regular season or halfway through the season. And yeah, your body just unfortunately something can happen to it. So it's just brutal. And everybody loves TJ, and he's so important in that dressing room, especially at the beginning of the year too, to have the antics and stuff. So just
What do
brutal.
they do without like the handshakes? If TJ doesn't play, like, is there someone else who has to take that duty over?
Somebody else is gonna have to try. I don't know. Nobody quite has the energy, I don't think, that he brings, and how excited he gets, and it seems like he has a handshake with every single player on that team too. So it just messes people's routines up. I always remember I had a warm up thing with JoJo, and we always make these passes in warm up, and then whenever he wasn't there, I was like, "What the heck am I gonna do?" Like it didn't feel right. So I would make the passes to nobody. I would just be like, well, this is what I normally do. So I'd start making the plays anyways, and there'd be no one to receive them, but it would still be part of the routine. So yeah, I'm not sure how guys will adjust, and I'm sure he'll be upset to not be a part of some of those handshakes at the beginning of the year when so many of them
So
get
wait,
made.
so when he wasn't out there in warm-ups, you would just do the same thing as if he were standing there?
Yeah, we would make cross ice passes right before the 2-on-1s, and he would always start the drill on the far side, and I would be the second defenseman starting on the other side, and so we would throw a couple sauce passes. We'd be trying to like thread it through, when everybody was skating around, and then yeah, we'd make our last pass, and then he would start the drill, and so he wasn't there, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna throw one over there, see if anybody will pick it up. And then we can start a new thing, and sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. So I just had to make sure that the passes, at least we're getting over there. Then I'd feel settled. I'm telling you, it stuff is
I
brutal,
know.
especially right before the game. If you don't do what you're normally doing, and you're a person who loves routine the way I did, it messed with you. When I got to Montreal and I wasn't, the first in line to do the certain things that I do and have the space, I would just be like, what the heck is going on out here? I would have to like go to new areas and carve out a different spot for myself. And it was frustrating trying to mesh multiple players warm up routines together. It's never
This
fun.
stuff is so wacky. I'm sure we'll talk about more about this when we come back on All Caps. Happier topics too. I have a music thing to bring up, and also talk about Alexi Protas and Connor McMichael.
You're a big Bravo fan, aren't you? Well, two stars from Southern Charm are taking their show on the road, and you can see them in New York City. Catch Pillows and Beer live with Craig Conover and Austin Kroll at Irving Plaza on Tuesday, October 11th. If you've listened to their podcast, you know they dish about their lives outside of reality TV. And now you can watch it go down in person. Tickets are on sale, so buy yours today at Ticketmaster.com or tap the banner to learn more.
Welcome back to All Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We're going to get to the prospects. I'm going to get to Connor McMichael and Alexi Protas. But you talking about the warm-up routines reminded me of Kuzi at the start of training camp. Someone asked him a question like, where are you going to miss Tom Wilson the most? And without missing a beat, he said, the music in the locker room. And like he's like, oh, he and Ovi always split the music, and Tom's like, well, now if we're losing, we need somebody else to pick the music if I'm not in there, because we can't have Ovi's music all the time. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, surprisingly big deal. Like, it's the same thing if you're out for a night out, and you got great music, and then all of a sudden a new DJ comes in or a new set or whatever, and it's just bad. It kills the vibe. We had this when we were in London. We had an unbelievable start to this night, some throwback hip hop stuff, and then all of a sudden the vibe changed, and it was this weird stuff nobody had heard, and you could just feel the whole place deflate. So it's like that in the dressing room too. It's a very, very hard job. You want stuff that a little, everybody can kind of relate to, or songs that they enjoy. And if you have, a little bit too much hardcore Russian techno or anything like that, then nobody can sing to the song. No one can
No
bop
one
their
knows the
head 'cause
words, right?
yeah, they have no idea what beat is next. So it is something that Tom does really well. He plays to the crowd really well. He knows when to kind of switch things up. And he's good with a lot of the current stuff too. So yeah, you miss somebody like that, and it's same thing with routine. He knows, come in, throw the phone down, and let the playlist go. And there's also certain songs that you get into a winning streak that you like to put on at certain times of the game or of the when you're getting dressed. So it's just another thing to think about. And if you're not used to doing it, then it can be kind of challenging, and you get chirped for it all the time.
I'm actually working on a story about this, about music in sports in general. And you know who was great about this? Your boy Max Domi. So I got a chance to talk to Max about this and just his thoughts about like it's hard to please everyone as a locker room DJ. Apparently Kevin Shattenkirk does it in Anaheim.
Yeah, exactly. There's who the music guys are because they kind of take charge right away. And there's different players who are in charge of music sometimes on practice days as well. Like we always had one of the trainers would go in and throw country music on practice days and stuff like that. And then once everybody got into the room, sometimes one of the guys would change it to something else. But Saturdays, reggae Saturday, I tried to bring that to Montreal, and some guys liked it, some guys not so much. But Carey Price was the guy that threw on the country music usually in the mornings.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and as the day goes on, you kind of switch to something else. But yeah, Domes would be a guy that I would, and actually, Domes and Tom are very similar in this sense. But he'd be a guy that I would text a lot of times, like, "Hey, what's the name of this song?" And I just have to like dun 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 dun, something like that, and he would pick up on it. And I just texted Tom last week, and I said, "Hey, what's the name of this song?" And I played him legit a 3-second clip of this one I recorded from when we were in New York. And he had it for me right away. And I'm like, thank God that there's people like you that know music, because I have no idea.
I didn't realize Tom Wilson was a human Shazam.
He is a human Shazam, 100%. It happens all the time where I'd send something, or I'd ask like, hey, I need a good summer playlist. Like, what do you got for me? And he'd always tell me that these are the new the summer. I can't remember what he calls them, but whatever his summer songs are, and he'd send them my way. So yeah, those people are just another reason why you want a guy like him on your team, I guess.
Yeah, and hockey wise too. And so this has been a training camp of kind of figuring things out. Dylan Strome, where's he going to fit? Connor McMichael, but Alexi Protas, big boy, showed he could play in the league last year. I don't know if he can make the lineup unless TJ Oshie's not playing, but it's hard to say to him, send him to Hershey, because he's played incredibly well.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough because you like to have a big body on your team. So someone that...
And Anthony Mantha is a big body who is not necessarily that style of... He doesn't use his size in the way that Tom Wilson uses his size.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go back and think of a Jeff Schultz, right?
Yeah.
Or Milan Jurchina. Both those guys, huge bodies out on the ice, but didn't play what you would expect as a huge body. Look at Zdeno Chara.
James Van Riemsdyk a little bit like that.
Exact same thing. So you get a guy that's a big body that goes out there and plays like that and creates space and is a force out there. It's something that everybody's aware of, right? So you need somebody that can go out there and make room and be a little bit tougher to play against because it's the truth. It doesn't matter how good the player is. Like, I'll give Johnny Gaudreau as an example versus a Milan Lucic, right? Like, I'm not worried at all if Gaudreau's coming in to forecheck me. Yeah, he's a hell of a player, tons of skill, and can pick my pocket for sure. But I'm way more aware of what my play is going to be when Milan Lucic is coming down on me, right?
Yeah.
Because A, do I have to make the play, but B, I don't want to get run through the wall. So I think that just having those guys on your team is a really, really nice thing to have. Matt Martin, everybody, I think all the Caps should know Matt Martin, the Cal Clutterbuck and Cizikas line in the playoffs the one year.
That's a nasty line.
They were the best team. They were the best line going in hockey, and it's not like they were goal scorers, any of them. So you just need players like that out there, and if they can chip in a little bit offensively too, then that's a bonus, right? So I think that he's got a strong case for it, but it's kind of deep in that area of the team right now of who's going to be that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to ask who's going to be the guy. When we come back on All's Caps, I got a bunch of predictions that we're going to try to make about what this team's going to look like this season. Welcome back to All's Caps, with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alster. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We just missed Karl's dogs barking and Painter showing up at his house just in time for Capital season predictions. This is not Karl's stupid questions. This is just hockey questions for the two of us. First of all, Karl, okay, where does this team finish in the Metropolitan Division? I've got them finishing second. I think they're not as good as Carolina regular season wise. I think the Rangers take a little bit of a step back. I think this is a solid playoff team finishing second in Metro.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet. You have to look at what all the other teams did and where you think that they might step up and just kind of going down really quick. I mean, we all think the Flyers might have a bit of a tough time.
They're a bad team.
They're a bad
They're a
team.
bad.
Yeah.
I know Torrance and all that. They're not a good hockey team.
Yeah. Well, if you look so I'm not big into looking into exhibition
No.
results and stuff like that. But if your team goes, 0-6 or 1-5 or whatever it is, you're probably going to be in one, right? Unless you had, a lot of guys out and stuff like that. So, they're one of those teams that are in that realm right now. So I'm not too worried about them. The Islanders, bit of a wild card. They are supposed to be better than they were last year. So
who's going to score goals for them? Answer me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's scoring goals?
That just Barzell and freaking Lee.
Lee and maybe Brock Nelson and
yeah,
it's the same team. It's Josh Bailey. It's Kyle Palmieri. It's the same team.
Yeah, there's not too many players that scare you on that team. So that I think that you're gonna be in trouble. The Devils, they could go either way. They got some talent on that team, but I think they're still lacking in some areas. Columbus, wild card, right?
They're better.
Yeah, they got better for sure. No idea exactly how much better they're going to be. So I don't really think that they are in the mix. And then then you got the good old boys, right? The Penguins, the Rangers, Caps, and Hurricanes, right? I agree.
Those are my four. They're like
those are the four. I'm going to go Caps third, just because I don't know exactly how those other teams are going to be, but they're going back to that prediction. They're definitely going to be a playoff team on paper right now. I don't see that not happening.
Both of my AP colleagues, when we did predictions, have the Capitals missing the playoffs. And look, if TJ's hurt for a long period of time and they struggle to make up for Tom and Nick being out, okay, fine. But I don't see it. And the reason I don't see it is, I think Darcy Kemper starts 60 games and wins 40. But the second question I have on here, Alex Ovechkin, how many goals does he score? He's 21 away from tying Gordie Howe. I think he does that by January. I'm going to go 45 to be very conservative.
45 is conservative. So yeah, okay. I was going to say low 40s. You're always expecting there's going to be some sort of pullback, right?
I'm writing this down so we have this later.
Okay, so let's go. I'll go 42. 42. I'm saying that just because some guys injured and stuff like that, and we don't know exactly yet how the team's going to be. But I'm going to go 42, hoping for the best, but kind of expecting maybe a little bit of a pullback there. Although I'm a big Ovi goal scoring fan, so I want him to score 50 again because I think it's unreal every time he does it.
As long as it's the same thing I said last year. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to do it, and he always, whether he's playing through something, he always plays.
Yeah,
we've talked about this a lot.
100%. Yeah, he battles.
Okay. When is Tom Wilson's first game back?
So I'm looking at the calendar right now too. See their schedule. My guess right here is they go on the road. They play December 11th, Winnipeg, and then Chicago. I think he's maybe going to go on that trip and then come home and either play versus Dallas or play versus Toronto, his hometown team.
Were you reading my mind? I also got December 15th. I got December 15th against the Dallas Stars.
15th. Okay, so I'll go 17th against Toronto because I think that gives it's 3 games: Toronto, Detroit, Ottawa. Oh, sorry, 4 games: Winnipeg, and then a little bit of a break on Christmas. Just see how things are going. So that's kind of my guess in that area. I'm gonna go. Toronto just because that's his team.
But before and that's hockey night in Canada on a Saturday night at home against the Leafs. Tom Wilson of all people, the famous call when he scored the overtime winner. You know what though? The thing with Tom though, Karl, is that if the team is doing well, it gives him more time to not rush back. But knowing Tom the way he is, as soon as he is cleared and they are not worried, he's going to play.
Yeah, I agreed completely. That's I think that'll probably be a big factor as well. If the team is doing fine and there's any worry whatsoever, there's no point. There's some breaks, right? Come back after Christmas, or maybe not after Christmas because it's the Rangers. Take that game off.
No.
You don't want that to be.
Okay, my hot take is he's playing before Christmas.
Before Christmas, yeah, exactly.
That's the show. Okay,
I'm with you.
When is Nick Backstrom's next game with this team?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
This is a hard one.
Yeah, this is a very hard one. Oh man, I honestly, I don't know. If I had to guess, if there's any sort of worry about playoffs or playoff positioning or anything like that, I'm gonna say maybe sometime right before All-Star break. It's
For the All-Star break. Okay, so
yeah.
that puts you at something like Thursday, the 26th of January.
Is
That's
that
right
what
before
All-Star
the.
break is? Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty early, actually. For some reason, I thought it was later than that. I just think that you want to, if he does come back, you put him in for a game where there's, the schedule isn't all that crazy, right? You want
Sure.
maybe
No
some
back
time
to
in
backs.
between, no back to backs, nothing like that. So, there's a point also, right at the end of January. It's the big trip, Phoenix, Vegas, Colorado. Maybe go on that trip. Schedule's not so crazy. Come back, play Pitt, and then 3 days in between. So somewhere around then, I'd say
All right. I'm gonna
January.
give you the entire swath of late January
Okay.
because I as much as I want to see Nick back for his own health and all of that, I'm going March 1st at the Ducks. I think that is just after the trade deadline. The trade deadline would be 2 days earlier. So if
Okay.
you know he's coming back, then you have to have the situation where you got to figure out a kind of what's going on with the salary cap, and Brian McClellan has to deal with that. So it gives him time to deal with that at the deadline, and then Nick comes back.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now he plays the
That's
final 6 weeks of the season, and then into the playoffs, which gets us into our final question of the show: how far does this team go?
oh
Which
man.
again, like we both think they're a playoff team. So start
Yeah.
with that.
I hate to say it, but as of right now, my guess is another first round.
That's
But I think I think there's potential to be into the second round there, but let's go with first round so I can leave second round open for you.
I'm gonna take second round. I don't know if they can beat Carolina. I do think they can beat the Rangers. I still think that if they had won those games at the end of last year and played the Rangers, I know the Rangers went to the East Final. I still think they could have caught the Rangers, and the Penguins really with the injury and happened to Crosby is why they blew that series. Jacob Trouba said to me, "It's like, look, we were in the Eastern Final, but we were also a game away from losing in 5 in the first round." So
Yeah.
I look at that division. I do see a seasoned team wanting to at least. I think they can make another run if things go right. Like I think if you get Nick back and Nick's himself, and Tom's back and he's fresher, and Connor Brown's still on this team, and Lars Eller and all these guys in contract years too, I think there's a chance they can win a playoff series.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree with you. They have a goalie, that can do it for them too. So that's I think that's a big thing for this team.
That's where I'm at. Real quick, Alumni Weekend, all the stuff coming up this weekend. What are you going to be doing before we go? What's the kind of weekend vibe for all these alums back in town?
Well, I'm actually really excited about it. I think they've put a lot of time and effort into planning this. It's one of the things that I think elevates organizations for the at least on the players' standpoint that
Sure.
when they have something for the alumni to take part in and still get together and see all the players that are from the past and then mixing them with current players as well, which is what we are doing for some of these events. I think that's amazing. So we have kind of like a get together tonight, just a welcome hangout session. So everybody that's coming to town, I think we have something like 20 or so players that are going to be there. And then we are going to be going to the exhibition game, which is on
Saturday.
Saturday. We have a Stars and Spirits event on Friday, which will be really fun. That's down in Union Market, which I think of all the events, that's gonna be the one to
You're
come
gonna have
to.
fun at that one.
We're gonna have fun at that one. A lot of the guys are coming. Some of their wives are gonna be in town as well. So it's kind of a big party. Plus, you can buy tickets for it to come too. So it's gonna be seeing current players, former players in a relaxed environment. That usually ends up being pretty fun. You get some good conversation going. So there's that. We're gonna do some stuff on ice for Learn to Play, as well as some I think some adult sessions as well. So it's a full weekend. It's 3.5 or so days of stuff, but I think it really unites the alumni and shows the current players that there is something after hockey. You can have a pretty cool group to come and hang out with once a year, be a part of the organization still, part of the community still, and we're gonna get some sweet blazers as well. So we look like a united front, which is just gonna be fun.
You guys are gonna enjoy that. I'm not gonna be there. The Snally Gaster Beer Festival is downtown on Saturday. For like 403 beers are available, so I will not be there. I will be that is my day off. Karl, enjoy that, and thanks everybody for listening to Ozcaps.